Okay, right, so just going from the ending of that.
We're leaving!
What are you doing?
We're going.
Okay.
I'm not coming back.
Alright.
No, I'm not.
So I'm being really stupid.
You're being really stupid.
Okay.
You've been really childish. Like a big baby carrot. And babies are gross. This reminds me about a story of when I was born. Sorry. When I was born, for the first time, my father held me in his arms. I took a big shit all over him, and it drained into his shirt and his brand new Levi jeans. So we didn't get off to such a great start. It probably explains our history.
Now, I have two stories, both of which involve poo
Good.
and vomit, respectively. I was about 6 years old, and my mother was out because it was her birthday, and my dad had taken her out. My auntie was looking after me for the evening with her daughter, my cousin. And I should probably point out at this juncture that I hate poo. And it's a bodily function that I resent with every fibre of my being. And as a child, I hated it so much that I just outwardly refused to do it. It was something that I just would not do. And on this particular occasion, I was very, very desperate for a poo, but hated it, so wasn't going to do it. Long story short,
Don't forget Kev isn't coming in here.
I ended up unable to hold it any longer and shat myself in my Superman onesie costume thing. And my auntie, who was looking after me, didn't really have the most maternal of instincts, and so she decided that the best thing to do would be to just put me to bed covered in shit. So if you can picture the scene, a 6-year-old me is in bed covered in shit, sound asleep, by about 9 o'clock. About 2 a.m, my mum and my dad come back in from the night out that they had, and my mum, comes in, dress askew, hair all messed up, and her makeup across her face like a clown. She comes staggering through, my dad bundles her up the stairs, and then instead of going into the bathroom, she decides to come into my room first, to give a darling little boy a kiss. And she doesn't see that I'm covered in shit until she's inches away from my face. And the smell is so much for her that she proceeds to cover me head to toe in her vomit.
Yeah, that reminds me of when I was in primary school. We went on a trip to the Millennium Dome in London, this is when it was actually the Millennium Dome, not the O2 Arena like it is now. Anyway, it was a 5-hour coach journey from where I live in Preston to London, and obviously it's a lot of school kids, we're all late, it's not going well. But what made it worse is, when I was little, I used to love these things called Panda Pops, which are these little fizzy drinks. There's one called bubblegum flavour, which I'm sure a lot of people will remember, and it was bright blue in colour. And I decided to down 2 of these before I was getting on this 5-hour coach journey to London. And that didn't go down well, as we were about half an hour into the journey and I started getting an upset stomach. I just thought it was gas at first, so I just got up to stretch my legs. And the coach jolted, and all of a sudden, it was like lightning out my mouth and blew down the bus. And it just went everywhere. So for the next 4 hours of this coach journey, there was just blue running down the middle of the bus, so every time it turned or stopped, it just went from one end back to the other. I needless to say, I never drunk a Panda Pop again.
I was about 7 or 8 when we were coming from a family 2-week holiday in Newquay. Now, we were in the car on our way back to Preston, and that is a long car journey, believe me. And that morning, to prepare ourselves for going home, I had had a huge full English breakfast, and like my eyes were bigger than my belly, so I also had 2 bottles of cherry cola and a lot of Dairy Milk chocolate. Now, I started to feel sick in the car, so decided that I would put my head down on the car and have a little lie down, which was my biggest mistake because it was incredibly bumpy, and on one rather large speed bump I sat upright and proceeded to be sick down the driver's seat, which my mum was sitting in. Now, she stopped the car as soon as she could and turned around to see if I was okay. Obviously I wasn't, I'd just been sick. And my auntie also turned around to see how I was doing and took one look at my vomit-covered body and turned to my mum and said, "That is a mother's job."
Well, my story is not about vomit or poo. But I didn't like going to bed at night. I thought monsters were in my cupboard and they were going to eat my toes. So I had a plan. I decided, because I suffered with really bad nosebleeds, so I thought I'll repeatedly punch myself in my nose to cause a nosebleed so I could run downstairs and go, "Ah!" If that didn't work, I would shove my fingers down my throat and force myself to be physically sick so I could go downstairs and watch another episode of Club Reps.
Wow. Anyway, I remember when I was about 9 and we'd gone to a wildlife park in Scotland. We were visiting family up there and we were all out together, all the family, and there was loads of wild animals and, you know, wild locals, and so we were just, we got to about lunchtime and we thought we'd go for some lunch, so we went to the cafe in this wildlife park and it was absolutely jam-packed full of people, crowded, and there was just one little table over in the corner, so obviously we had to go and sit down there. So we were all squished around this little table, me being the youngest and the smallest, I was crammed right into the corner, no route of escape. And I had this nice big steaming pot of Scotch broth for my lunch. And so I devoured that, and then I got that pre-chunder feeling that you get when you just know you're about to throw up. And I think maybe I'd eaten it too quickly, because we Colemans, we tend to overindulge quite a lot. And it's, I think it's just something that's in our genes. We always just eat too much and then we end up just being sick everywhere. So it's probably my own fault. But anyway, so I proceeded to vomit. And I felt this nice hot Scotch broth coming right the way back up my throat. And it was basically looking exactly the same as it when it went down. And so I just stuck my head down, threw up all down myself, all over my nice new Puma trainers. And then finally, I found a route to get out. So I made my way out, all the while covering the entire restaurant. I mean, several tables, several portions of fish and chips that belonged to other people, probably in a few other bowls of Scotch broth as well. And the cafe owner and its till full of money, the lunchtime rush full of money, all absolutely soaked in my sick. And I just remember just being in the car on my way home, and I was wearing my uncle's jogging t-shirt, my mum's spare socks, and several scarves. Just thinking about it now just makes me feel quite bad.
Everybody starts to leave except Carmen. Okay, I don't know if it'll work, but...